Hello, so welcome to Tarot On 2020, a online sharing extravaganza in the light of the current pandemic. We thought we'd have a regular slot here so that we could get together and share our love of tarot, divination, magic, the spiritual life, initiation, magical orders, Kabbalah, alchemy, anything we wanted to talk about. So I have a few ideas as to what we can do. However, if anyone can make a comment or tell me that this is actually being seen by anyone, that would be really useful, because this is the first time we've set this up, and so I'm hoping that we can continue this at 9 p.m. GMT throughout this current crisis that is locking down a lot of interpersonal space between us. So it's great that we have technology to overcome those barriers and actually get to know each other a little bit more and make the best use of our time, particularly if we're not in some countries at the moment, and likely in the UK and the US at some point, there's a complete lockdown of travel, mass gatherings and so forth. So it's going to be quite interesting as to how we all get through it. So I do have a slight sore throat, but that is only due to over talking on the telephone, and not due to anything else as far as I know. I have my Waitsmith tarot deck. I have my original Lenormand, so we can talk about that. I also have a very old cartomantic book from 1936 that I wanted to share a method if we get time to do that. And I did wonder if we could perhaps, because we might be doing this for quite a while, I was going to read you a bedtime story in sections from Aleister Crowley in Conks on Pax. There's a nice story in here that is based on tarot, and it's something that most people might not want to dive into, but I think it's very powerful, very beautiful, very useful, very fun, and it's Aleister Crowley being a little bit cheeky, showing off a little bit, but there's some great truths in this little story that's in here, and it's called The Wake World, A Tale for Babes and Sucklings. So perhaps every day for the next however many weeks that we may be in this crisis, I thought that I could read a little section of this and we could discuss it as a group, and it might give you something to read and think about, and it will tie a lot of things together. So say I've got tarot cards that I can talk about. If anyone asks me to draw a card for them, I should point out that this is not for free readings. We have a tarot exchange group where you can go and practice having a reading done, trying a reading and so forth. If you want me to draw a card for you, then this is my best effort, and this is all you're going to get in terms of drawing a card from me. So that's my card if anyone asks me to draw a card for them. I've drawn this one for them. So I also thought it would be a good chance for us to hang out, get to know each other a little bit, depending on who's in the group, who manages to make this live session, which will be about 20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer if we decide otherwise. And as a recording as well, people can watch this as a recording. If you're watching this as a recording, here's a wave for you. It's a wave. And we can just talk tarot, and you can give me questions, and if I can't answer them then it's a stupid question, obviously. If you want to ask questions in between the sessions, then you can ask in the thread below, and I'll pick those up and perhaps deal with them in a second, third, fourth, fifth, 8th, 10th, 28th session. So has anyone got any particular questions or things that they are want to share with us in the group to begin with, and then we can perhaps take a look at a few little bits of reading technique or something general like that to get us started off with. We have plenty of time. I'm sure we're going to be doing this for quite a little while yet, and we've got a wonderful number, 22 people. Hello to Christina and Rebecca and Steph and Adela and Sarah and Wayne and Kirsten and everyone joining us. So is there anything, generally, how are people doing? Obviously, we get the BBC News here, we get, I tend to look at CNN and a few other news sites around the world, so I understand that it's a very different situation at the moment in every country and every locality, and probably personally as well. Here in Keswick, in the Lake District where I live, it's very quiet outside. In the country as a whole, obviously we're being affected by the travel bans from different countries, and also it's highly likely that we're going to be locking down mass meetings quite soon, and there's a big argument at the moment for whether we should lock down like Italy, France and Spain quite quickly, or whether we still have time to implement that. So that's the situation as it is here. How's everyone else doing? We do have people from, New York City, everything's closed. We have a few folk from Australia, I notice. Thanks, Lonnie. I've just scrolled down to see that I've actually got some extra comments. That's funny. It's very strange. It's not really scrolling up properly on my screen, but I'll keep an eye on that. So if I don't answer a comment, it's because I've not yet seen it. New York City's closed, yes. People are crazy at the grocery, that's for sure. The great toilet roll drought of 2020 will be a thing of legends for many a year, I think. Doing good in Seattle, that's good. We have someone from Florida as well. So kids' schools closed down again. We've not closed the schools down here at the moment. And hello James from Canada. So everyone seems to be doing well, other than the toilet paper situation, which I think has gone global. So has there anyone got any specific questions that they'd like us to discuss? Just generally about tarot card reading, particular issues that you might have. I also have a nice glass of white wine here, so I'm not doing too badly at the moment. Otherwise we'll just take some questions. I've been thinking about Lenormand of late, so perhaps we can start there. Who isn't familiar with Lenormand at all in our current 48 people? Well, Juliet's pointed out something interesting, cards relating to the pandemic. Unfortunately, I do know which cards, for me personally, cropped up because they cropped up in my year ahead readings. Yeah, so I'll briefly talk about those and then we'll widen the topic a little bit. What happened was in December, excuse me, in December I was doing my year ahead readings for clients, about 20 clients, and I do sort of 3 cards for each month, and there's a very special twist that I use with the particular method that I do. It's in my book Terosophy, if anyone's interested. I think it's exercise 50 in that book, how I do my year ahead readings. I do these every year. I've done readings for about 40 years, since I was 13, 12 or 13, and I must have done I don't know, tens of thousands of readings over my time. And I got into a couple of readings. It takes about an hour to do each one, and so I was doing them over about 3 days. I did the last 3 on New Year's Eve before travelling to a party that night, and within about 3 of them I started to joke or notice that July and August for each person, the cards really stuck out as a narrative. What I mean by that is sometimes when you do a reading you get a general idea of a flow to it, and year ahead readings are often in very different patterns. Sometimes people have a really hard few months and then it gets better and then it improves. Some people it goes up and down, some people, and the reading has its own pattern. And I'm used to summarising those and concluding with how it works in the quarters. So I say your first quarter is like this, first half of the year is like this, and so on. But I noticed on about the 3rd reading I was doing that July and August had these massive cards in them. Quite often they were majors, but it wasn't just that, it was the fact that they didn't match the rest of the narrative at all. And I joked by about the 3rd one, oh, this is another one. It's like everyone so far is going to have a really weird July and August. And by about, I started to think, oh, now I'm going to be a bit biased and start to notice this a little bit more. So I didn't look ahead in the next readings I was doing, and every time I got to July and August for every single person, and I recorded this in every single reading, all 20 of them, I kept saying there's something weird. I've never said this before, I've never had this in a reading, but there's something. I'm not worried because the rest of the cards seem okay, but there's something global that's happening. There's something happening that really kicks off July and August, and I was thinking that it might be some sort of change of politics or something like that that would happen, that would affect everyone, something that would affect travel. Maybe a famous person would die and it would cause everyone to question something, but I didn't think that was strong enough for these situations that I was reading. And I posted on the, I kept thinking about it after the new year, and it kept weighing on my mind that I'd never ever in 40 years seen anything like this. And I joked that it was a bit useless anyway. Even in the recordings I said it's useless because I can't tell you what it is, or how to prepare for it, or what to do about it, other than do the readings as I was doing them. So it's a bit of a useless thing to say, oh no, something big is happening next year, my cards are picking it up in every single individual reading. But I kept thinking about it, and on, I think it was the 7th of January, I thought about it for a week, and I thought, I wonder if anyone else had anything like that. So I posted it in on the 7th, I think, 7th, 8th or 9th, in the Facebook group, and a few other people said, oh, it may be astrology, it may be also for told that something weird is happening in astrology and so on. And a few people said that their readings had a weird foreboding about July, August. And this was very much, it came up in my own as well. And I did think maybe it's something to do with me that's, going to happen because I'm the only common factor between all of these people. And it wasn't particularly negative or positive, it was something shifting. It sort of broke everyone's narrative, like a major shift. And then the rest of the cards after continued on with the story a little bit. Excuse me. So I posted that, a few people put additional comments on, and then I think about a week later, when the coronavirus was first starting to hit the news, and someone put a post, and you can see this on the Facebook group, I hope that this premonition and this disturbance in the cards isn't something to do with this coronavirus. And the moment they wrote that, I thought maybe it is, but then my take on it was something specific in July, August. So I've since calibrated it and revised it a little bit, and I'm presuming that my cards were picking up on something happening at that time that was going to ripple out to everyone. And I think the outer edge of it will be July, August. And so perhaps as a prediction, as a prophecy, my feeling, my current take on it is that the cards were there to say there's something global happening, and it will have a peak, a crest, an edge to it, a changing point in July, August, which is a sort of useful prophecy in the sense of I think this thing is going to be long term and have massive impact across the board for all of us, which is obvious, of course, but it will last until July and August, so therefore it's something that we do need to dig in for the long term and take appropriate measures quickly in order to presume it's not going to be just what did President Trump say, something like blown over or washed through by April. That may be the case, but I think what I took from my readings and the fact that it was in every single person's reading I did a year ahead for, is that we should at least prepare for the long term, and that is something that might bring it to a close quite soon. Who knows? So I'm calibrating that with what's really happening, because I have had no particular case of that ever before in 40 years of doing readings for people. Now, to answer the original question, the cards that really stuck out for that was Hierophant, Death, World. One of the readings, when I was I don't know if it was the fourth or fifth reading I was doing out of 20, these cards were in July or August, and it was like, Hierophant, Death, World, it was so powerful, and it was like, oh, there really is something going to happen. And I said that in the recording as well. So now, if I want cards for pandemic, Hierophant, Death, World is my trinity for that. Okay, so I hope that answers at least one question about that. And I think as tarot readers, we are beholden to provide out-of-the-box advice, sideways advice, spiritual advice, and so forth, and not necessarily comment on cases of pandemics, financial markets, health, and so forth, other than how we can deal with it as people in times of very turbulent change and fear. Interestingly enough, there was a big upswing in tarot interest ahead of the year 2000, but it followed after 2000 because we had the year 2000 bug was going to bring planes out of the sky and set nuclear missiles into the air. When that did happen, I think there was an aftershock where people had time to question what was important to them, and a lot of them did come to tarot. So I've not followed up on any of those readings. I've been busy finishing writing a couple of books. I just finished writing the third of the Thoth trilogy, Secrets of the Thoth Tarot, and we have a secret project in the background that's ongoing, that's taken about 2 years, and we're hoping to publish that towards the end of this year or next year, because it's currently running at about 140,000 words, which is about a book and a half, almost. Well, it's actually getting close to 2 books in length. It involves a number of people, so I've been quite busy with writing. So hello to Angela, who's joined us, and everyone else who's joined us. Sam has made some interesting comments about something dramatic starting spring, negative in nature, and then summer really positive. And I hope so. I don't know if people have been watching the videos of Italians singing on their balconies. There was one of an opera singer singing an aria, and it was so beautiful. It brought tears to my eyes. It was just absolutely gorgeous, and it was a big sort of like, if you'll excuse the language, it was like an FU to the virus, where human beings, we're going to sing our way through this. And I do hope that this time brings us together, strangely enough, even though social distancing is now a real thing. That is happening, social distancing. Excuse me. For anyone just joining us, this cough is just due to over talking and not anything else, as far as I know. Okay, so right, what shall we talk about then? Lenormand, shall we talk a little bit about Lenormand, and then unless there are any other questions, I'll read a little bit of our bedtime story, and we'll repeat this tomorrow, the day after, and the day after, unless something changes. So yeah, let's talk about Lenormand. So for those not familiar with this particular deck, it's not tarot. It's read in a slightly different way. I'm covering up the main pictures, which is useful. So there we have the bouquet. So it's very simple pictures. So there is a dog, and that's basically it. It's a deck of 36 cards. It was used in Germany, designed as a playing card deck. That's why it has the playing cards. So adults, after the children had gone to bed playing the original game called the Game of Hope, the adults could then use it to play cards, which was often frowned upon because of the gambling aspect of it. So they're both German and French suits up in the corners for playing a game called Piquet, which is a French game of 36 cards. And so these were from the original Game of Hope, which it's in 3 different museums. There are only 3 surviving copies, and this is a copy, a licensed copy from the British Museum that we publish, called the original Lenormand. So these are the actual original cards with the stains and everything on them, and they were slightly edited for us by Shiro Marchetti to put proper edges, because they've been coloured in by a child, highly likely, the original deck. So it's basically, I won't go into the playing cards at the moment, but I'll talk about those maybe in a following session. So, and we do have a course on this. I will often intersperse our little meetings with desperate pleas for you to join the Tarot Association, buy our books, take our courses and find out more about all of these things. It's very much appreciated, particularly association membership, which really does help keep us churning along so that we can get on with our writing and research and so forth. So the difference between a tarot card and a Lenormand card is quite simple. Tarot cards are not symbols, they are metaphors. They are collections of symbols, which is more than one. A Lenormand card is a simple symbol, and basically it's an emblem. So it embodies a particular set of concepts unique to that one particular object or symbol, whereas a tarot card is read as a story excuse me, of different symbols. So here the house is a symbol, the river is a symbol, the couple holding hands is a symbol, the children dancing, the rainbow, the cups. These are all symbols on one card. This is just one emblem, one simple thing. Make sense? So that's one of the big differences immediately between the two cards as a tool in our divinatory toolbox. Now, when we read Lenormand cards, we read them more the better. I don't advise reading Lenormand cards singly as a practice. I really don't do that with tarot cards either. I think it's far better to read more cards first and practice with a lot of cards and only read a few of them rather than learn one card and then two cards and three cards. I think that's not a very good way of learning. So in Lenormand, each card has a very simple meaning, and these go back originally to a deck in the again in the British Museum that Mary K. Greer discovered a book in the listings of the British Museum, and my co-author Tolly Goodwin and I went to see the book and opened it up, and lo and behold there were cards in it, or pictures of cards, called the coffee cards. So the coffee cards predate the Game of Hope, and in that book for the first time are the lines that say these cards are based on coffee grounds, the reading of coffee grounds, and it's there in black and white. So these symbols were often, like the dog, listed in the reading of coffee grounds. And so coffee ground symbols are in effect a codification of dream symbolism, and dream symbolism is the very original form of oracular divinatory fortune telling of humanity. We went to sleep, we woke up in the morning, we had pictures in our heads. They weren't real things, so therefore they came from somewhere else. And so the Lenormand is a codified set of dream symbols, and that's why, even though there are 36 cards, the reason is because it was a game and it was based on maybe 6 times 6, 2 dice rolls, 6 sixes, and 4 cards at the bottom of the grand tableau for 4 starting positions for the game. So it's a coincidence really that there are 36 cards. With tarot, I really do believe that it's 78 for a good reason, because it's a set of 22 for 10 and it makes structural sense. With Lenormand, I'm far more easy myself, thinking that you can add other cards to it. And Tolly Goodwin came up with a lot of cards, symbols from original race games, similar to the Game of Hope, that people, like Shiro Marchetti, then used, like the bridge card, dice card, clock card, and things like that. My favourite one, the one I always wanted in a deck, was the Well card, and the Crown card, which is in some decks. So Yeah, yeah. There's a dog is a nice common symbol, as Evelyn's saying, particularly if you have real dogs. So let's take an example way of reading then, very quickly, because we're already at half an hour, so I've already talked way too much. So this card here is the bouquet, the flowers, and this is a gift. Basically, it means a gift. So if you only draw one card, then it's basically, you know, you're going to get a gift. Or it's very important in Lenormand to have a question so that you can specify. If I'd have asked, will this business be good for me? I'm applying for a job. Will the company be good? And I just get one card, then that just means it's a gift. So does that mean I'm giving them a gift, or they're giving me a gift, or what does that mean? If it was what should I do about my relationship, and you get this card, then it means give a gift. As simple as that. It's really literal, Lenormand, very literal indeed. But if we have more cards, we can actually then find out, and I've just chosen these sort of at random. So if we then have the child card, then this is a gift of childhood. Gift, childhood. So we can read that in a couple of different ways. Now, some people talk about reading right to left and left to right, but it's nonsense. Because when I've seen people do it or explain it, sometimes they read right to left but say it's left to right. Sometimes they mean left to right when they read right to left, and it can be very confusing. So the basic rule is take the card on the far side. So if you're laying them out this way, this is the card at the end of the reading, and that card shoots down all of the others. So if you've got a positive card here, that's really good because the positivity mitigates all of the cards before it. But if it's a negative card, like the coffin, for example, or the cross, which is a very negative card in Lenormand, then that's bad on this side at the end of the reading because it filters down all the way. You can look at it the other way to say it ends up bad, which is bad, but the way I feel when I read is that this card shoots down all of the other cards. So this card affects this card, then this card tumbles into the next card, and so on down the list, down the reading. And that works in the grand tableau when you lay out all 36 cards. So here we have a gift, child. Now, if that was for the company question, then it wouldn't mean that they were going to give me a child as a result of joining the company. It would mean, more likely, because of the question, I am going to give them the gift of innocence, or a new way of looking at things. And that would be really useful to know that I should go into that company with new ideas and really promote myself as being someone new, fresh ideas, childlike approach to things, not taking any of the old patterns, ways of working as gospel, and bringing a new look. And if I was going for an interview, then that would be really useful to know that I can give the company a gift of a fresh eye. And I could use that in the interview to say, I'm here really, I think I can bring a fresh new eye to the company. And that would be a really useful reading. Make sense? So, and if it was obviously in a relationship question, then it would be a gift, and depending on the relationship, it might be the gift of something important from the other person's childhood, you know, maybe something nostalgic. Okay, makes sense? So, then we have another card, and we add this to the reading. So if we lay them out so that I draw on this card first, that card, then this card, here we have the dog, and the dog is loyal. It means loyalty, like a dog usually symbolizes. So now we have loyalty, child, gift, or loyalty, newness, gift. And so in a business question, it would be you can rely on loyalty in the company by bringing fresh new eyes as a gift to them. So your loyalty and commitment to the company with fresh new eyes will be a gift to them. So if you keep it very simple and build it up word by word, rather than think, oh, this person's going for an interview and they've got dog child flowers, dog child bouquet, then you might get a bit confused or falter in trying to read it as a, say, tarot card reading as to what these might symbolize. But if you literally go gift, new, loyal, then you can go, well, it's a gift, new eyes, loyal to the company. The company will give you loyalty because you bring new eyes as a gift to them. So whether you read it left to right or right to left, it's still the same intrinsic meaning, as long as you know which end is affecting the others. Make sense? Okay, and anyone who's late for this or watching this as a recording, then obviously you can hopefully start the recording from the beginning and catch up if you're interested. So that's just a quick overview of Lenormand, and we'll talk a lot more about that and tarot in future sessions, I'm sure. And do bring questions to the next sessions, particularly if you're watching this as a recording. We're going to be having these sessions every day, I hope, reality permitting, and I hope that we can develop how we do these and what we do in them as we go along. And again, Tarot Association membership is a wonderful reward for us for the work that we do, because that helps us support our own work as well. And you get a 10-hour video as part of that, 78 videos for every card, explaining them from the Waite Smith deck in particular, and the magazine, which I'm working on at the moment. It's going to be about 200 hours of work for the magazine, typesetting it, and we have some wonderful articles from some of the great people in the Facebook group. There's still time, if you're watching this today, tomorrow, the day after, for you to get an article into the magazine. It's the 33rd edition, and I think we've been running it for almost 9 or 10 years. We've been running the magazine for 10 years now. So again, it's got some great comments, great articles from people in the Facebook group as well. Angela was just asking where I'm from. I'm here in the Lake District in England, and I was born in England in Derby 55 years ago. So that's linear, isn't it? There's a place and a time. So I'd like to end this session, if I may, with a little bit of a reading from Conks on Pax. I'll give you a reference for it so you can read it with me in the next session. This is our bedtime story. Now, my old edition of this actually has the pages in the wrong order, so I have to go back to this page, and then there's the title page, and then read on. But I'd like to read just a little bit of it and then explain briefly why I think this is interesting. Well, in fact, I'll do that first, then I'll read. So this is called The Wake World, and the most important thing you need to know about this, and I will remind people each reading of it, is it's by Aleister Crowley, and these little side notes here in Latin, often in Latin or with Greek or with Hebrew letters, refers to the Tree of Life, Kabbalah and Tarot. And what this is a description of an initiatory or spiritual magical journey up the Tree of Life, illustrated by tarot cards. So Aleister Crowley was influenced heavily by the Golden Dawn. They were a magical order founded in 1888, and they coalesced a lot of magical systems, particularly tarot, alchemy, Kabbalah, astrology, and so on. And Crowley took that to the nth degree and went far beyond the Golden Dawn teachings in his own work. And this is one example of his more mystical writing, and it's written as a fairy story, but it's a little bit different than a fairy story. And what I'll do is I'll read the first introductory bit today, and then tomorrow I'm going to start to read the main section of it, which we will pause every now and again to I'll ask you questions and we can discuss the keywords and what Crowley might mean by them. And I hope over time, as we go through the whole story, if we have time to read it all together over the coming days and weeks, because it's obviously quite a long story, then it will encourage people to actually give it a go. It's only about that big, actually. It's not going to take us too long. Okay, without further ado, if I may, I will read a bedtime story. And it's called The Wake World by Aleister Crowley. And it's narrated by a female character, so I won't try and put on a voice for that, but imagine that this is a female character who is narrating the story. So are you all sitting comfortably? The Wake World by Aleister Crowley. My name is Lola because I am the key of delights. Now we'll stop right there just for 1 second, because we mustn't allow Crowley to get anything by us quickly. Think about that. My name is Lola, okay, because I am the key of delights. Now, what is the Latin or the word that we associate with key with regard to the tarot? Bonus points for anyone in the group who's awake enough when we're talking about key or secret with regard to the tarot. We call them a particular word that sort of means secret, or sometimes like a key, like a secret key. Anyone want to guess quickly? Okay, I'll give you a clue. It begins with A, and there are majors and minors of them. Major keys and minor keys. Okay, I'll assume that there's a big long delay in the text box. That's what I'll assume. It's Arcana. Arcana. So my name is Lola because I am the key of delights. Crowley is already keying in the secret arcana, and Lola is the key of those delights. There we go. They've all come. And hello to Russell. You can always catch up with the recording. I'm reading Wake World as our bedtime story, following a brief demonstration of Lenormand reading. Russell, by the way, has got a great book coming out, which we might talk about in following sessions, called The Spiritual Roots of the Tarot. I've seen bits of it and met Russell at presentations, and it's a brilliant presentation of how the Marseille Tarot provides a secret path, just like Crowley is describing. Slightly different, but the same story. So, my name is Lola because I'm the key of delights is the very first line, and Crowley has put right next to it Virgo Mundi in Latin, which basically means the virgin world. So Lola is a symbol of the world, the virgin world. And so we start our story with a 22nd major arcana, the world, but it's a virgin world. It's not been it's at the bottom of its journey. It's new, it's ready to start on its journey. It's not spiritual yet. So that's where Crowley starts with his very first line. My name is Lola because I am the key of delights, and the other children in my dream call me Lola Daydream. When I'm awake, you see, I know that I'm dreaming. so that they must be very silly children, do you think? There are people in the dream too who are quite grown up and horrid. But the really important thing is the wake-up person. There is only one, for there never could be anyone like him. I call him my fairy prince. He rides a horse with beautiful wings like a swan, or sometimes a strange creature like a lion or a bull, with a woman's face and breasts, and she has unfathomable eyes. My fairy prince is a dark boy, very comely. I think everyone must love him, and yet everyone is afraid. He looks through one just as if one had no clothes on in the garden of God, and he had made one, and one could do nothing except in the mirror of his mind. He never laughs or frowns or smiles, because whatever he sees what is beyond as well, and so nothing ever happens. His mouth is redder than any roses you ever saw. I wake up quite when we kiss each other, and there is no dream any more. But when it is not trembling on mine, I see kisses on his lips, as if he were kissing someone that no one could see. So I'll leave us with that little taster of an introduction. So the tale begins with Lola Daydream talking about her fairy prince, and when she says there is no one other than he, Crowley has written next to that ADNI, which means Lord in Hebrew and is a name of the divine in the Bible. So Crowley, we know, was not following a strict Christian interpretation of spirituality, so we might know that ADNI means something slightly different to Crowley himself. So I'd like to leave you with that bedtime story. We leave Lola in her daydream, wake world, sleep world, and the fairy prince who she is talking about, and we will go on their adventures together over the coming days, weeks, and maybe even months. We'll see how we do. If you have any questions, then please put them in the Facebook thread for this. I hope this will save into the Facebook group, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, or catching you in the recording at 9 o'clock tomorrow. One other thing as well is that we're going to open the gate to our Arcadia. If you're interested in storytelling, new ways of looking at tarot, there's several 100,000 words worth of new materials and stuff hidden in our website called Arcadia, and that opens up on March the 20th. It only opens up 4 times a year at the spring equinox, summer solstice, autumn equinox and winter solstice. The gate opens briefly to let people in. It's $9.99 a month, and we've hidden an awful lot of work. We've hidden like 7 months of work and 10 years of preparation and so on behind just 10 lines of a story that's available on the website. So if you want to have a look at www.arcadia.com, that gate opens on March the 20th as well. Okay then, so thank you everyone. We'll have a little bit more interaction, I guess, over the coming days, and as we get into the groove of all of this, and I look forward to spending time with you, finding out more from you about what you might want us to look at, and perhaps giving other people the floor as we come to a rest around our virtual campfire every evening around this time, every afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. So thank you again. The website for the association is www.tarotassociation.com, tarotassociation.net, tarotassociation.net. So thanks a lot, and I look forward to doing some more talking, teaching, sharing, discussion with you tomorrow. So bye for now, everyone.